Thank you so much for joining us tonight. What an ending. First of all, tell us how this collaboration started. How did you find each other?
First of all, we were friends with Antoine, and I introduced Antoine to Hugo Selignac, who was the owner of Shifumi. And at the beginning, we were working with Hugo, so the founder of Shifumi, on this film. And then Antoine joined the company, and he was because he was my friend and he was really interested by the film. He was co-producer. And Audrey, we met 10 years ago, and we met through, of course, films and music, and it became that we became. She's my wife today, so we're doing more than music. We have a kid together, so we had different projects before this film. So that's how we all met.
Audrey, since you're the wife, I got to know your perspective as well on this collaboration.
So yeah, we had the chance to have a few beautiful projects this past years, Kid and this Kid, The Kingdom, the movie that Julien directed, his first feature film, which is a film that so I read the script. I was one of the first reader of the script, I guess, a few years ago, and so I'm very happy and so proud to show the movie here in LA today.
Julien, I know you grew up in Corsica. Why pick this specific time and setting, and this framing of this father-daughter relationship?
You mean about the 90s?
Yes.
Yeah. The 90s, first of all, because that's the decade I knew when I was a child. Of course, it was like Madeleine de Proust, and more specifically because the 90s in Corsica was a special decade where about what was going to happen in the economical, political, and future economical, social, and political future in Corsica. Lots of things happened during this decade, and we have in Corsica, we had nationalist clans, defending Corsican culture, and there was a lot of internal wars between all these clans. The frontier between the border between these clans and the mob went were a little bit blurry at this time, so we didn't know anymore who was who, and it started like that, and it was the perfect background for the story I was trying to tell, because it was in the kingdom we are talking about the end of a reign, where there's a lot of murders, but we don't know who's doing this. So the 90s were the perfect decade for that. And also because the main character is the teen, and in the 90s we didn't have all the iPad and cell phones, so she needed to get bored doing nothing and just listening to the adults to get closer to her father, of course, and to get in touch with him without having any interference with the electronic devices. So all of these questions got me to the 90s.
Like you mentioned, this story is very grounded in the real history. What was the research process like?
There was not such things as research. It was more about digging into, sometimes memories, of course, but also about Corsican history, and it was more about emotions than research of specific things that could happen, because the kingdom is a fiction. The filial relationship is very close to the one I've experienced. And I've drawn on a certain veracity of a known context, but neither I nor anyone else in this world could claim have lived the story you've just watched. So it was not much about research than just it was not a work of memory. It was a work of script writing.
So this very long and meticulous process in casting as well as pre-production, I'm interested, Antoine, what your perspective as a producer is in this phase of production.
Well, we had a long time for the casting, and during that phase, we managed to finance the movie as well because it was a debut. It was quite expensive for a debut, and quite expensive all alone. And we need time to convince financiers, to convince broadcaster to come on board. And in France, we have the so-called Avance sur Recette, which is a commission composed by talented directors and producers that they were the first to come, and it was like a label that helped us to convince the other financer in the project. So it was a long phase, but at the end we managed to get the financing.
Amazing. Let's talk about the music. The score is so atmospheric, especially in the more intense moments. Audrey, could you talk about how you worked with Julien in creating this soundscape?
Julien had a playlist when he was writing the script, and we realized that in this playlist there was lots of tracks with cello and piano. And so when we decided, when we were thinking about the DNA of the score, we thought that cello and piano could be two good instruments. Cello could represent the death part of the movie because of its depth and its sense of solemnity, and maybe that the piano could represent the life part in his high register. It could bring some fragile and also softness. So it could be a good combination for the life and death that was present in the movie. And also we decided to have not a lot of team, to have really something very obsessional who could come and come again toward the film. And we decided that the melody would stay simple and discreet, so the viewers can not be imposed an emotion, but they can feel it. It was more a minimalist approach, but that gives place to emotion.
It's definitely very emotional. You mentioned a little bit before about this father-daughter relationship, and I want to dig a little deeper into that because a lot of the mafia films or crime films we see in the canon, it's always this masculine lineage of fathers and male heirs. What's the choice of having a teen daughter?
It has been quite obvious from the beginning to me that it had to be a young woman because, first of all, for dramatic issues, I knew that I wanted to be in a child perspective that would dig in opaque and dark adult world and essentially male world, and following a young woman in this male world gave us an interesting contrast. I mean, it would have worked very, very great with a young boy as well, because I mean the character is not. We don't go too much on the gender, finally, and we thought a lot about this question with my co-author Jeannery, and to be honest, I think we would have written this character the same way if it was a young boy. It's more about a parent-child relationship than a father-daughter relationship. Even if it in the end, that's what we got, and we had a lot of feedbacks about young women or women in general talking about their relationship with their father, and I'm very touched when I hear that. But we shaped this relationship about this filial relationship first of all.
It's very interesting to hear.